This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, MX3.VIP. Jason, I continue to change up our introduction here because a lot of times as you know, in the first couple of years, I read off a lot of stuff. People just want to hear from me.
Yeah, just get to it.
They already here. They already know how to get here, and they're getting to it. I mean, hey, what are we up to? We hadn't mentioned this in a little while.
286.
286,000 viewers, and not even including our listeners on the podcast. 286 on the viewing YouTube channel. You know who would be real proud of that?
Tell me.
One of my favorite people, and you know, in the last episode, we talked about celebrities using their platform.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much back in the day.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite people, and I've done a lot of research on him, and I kind of idolized him. There's no doubt about it. Man was born December the 12th, 1915.
Another December baby.
Yeah. Well, just like you and me.
Yep.
And then one of our sisters born.
That's right.
That's right. A guy by the name of Francis Albert Sinatra, better known as the chairman of the board, or Old Blue Eyes. You know, I've been talking about, we've done some, I guess you could say, documentaries on people, definitely episodes on their lives and stuff along the way. And I've touched a little bit on Frank when we got into the JFK assassination stuff and how I thought that he didn't do anything illegal, but he had ties to connecting that stuff. And I believe 100%, not with my heart, but with all my research and knowledge, that Frank Sinatra helped JFK get elected. There's no doubt in my mind. JFK barely beat Vice President Richard Nixon. Jason, I'm not even talking about his Frank Sinatra supporting JFK. We got to vote for JFK.
Yeah.
I'm talking about his ties to the mob.
Yeah.
To the Teamsters, to the unions, to the people who could get votes done, to the people who got people to vote that didn't know anything about voting. You know, we talk about these illegal votings and the hanging chads from 25 years ago and boxes being stuffed. We did an episode on Joe Biden and how much more votes he got than the other candidates over the last two decades.
Yeah. Ballot
stuffing. Hey, you know, I believe there was ballot stuffing big time going on back in the day. We just don't even know.
Probably so.
But nevertheless, you know, and we're also been talking about, ICE is a big deal, illegals, immigration. Frank Sinatra was born to Italian immigrants. They come over long time ago. Hoboken, New Jersey, where Blue Eyes is from, and died at 82. One of my biggest regrets ever. 1994, I got the privilege of going to Las Vegas, Nevada. That's back when it didn't cost hardly anything to go. And if you didn't gamble, you really could. It was considered, frankly, the cheapest as I was growing up and definitely into my early adulthood days in the 90s. It was considered the cheapest vacation you could go on. We can't go here, but hey, for $300, we can get on an airplane, fly to Vegas, and spend 3 nights in a hotel, and most of the food was $1.99.
Yeah. It was super cheap.
Super cheap. I mean, you could walk into one of those coffee shops and get a T-bone steak, a baked potato, Texas toast, and a cup and a tea for $1.99.
They knew how to do it.
Now you go out there and it's $499 for that.
Absolutely.
And you only get one glass of. you want to drink? That's $86 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But nevertheless, Frankie Baby was born in New Jersey, and obviously he comes from Italian descent. Did you realize, and maybe you didn't even think about it, estimated 150 million records sold worldwide.
I had no idea.
By the Frankster. All right? This is interesting right here. Whenever he began professionally singing, he was only a teenager. Now, a lot of them, we just went over Billie Eilish in the last episode about her being a teenager. This is back when teenagers didn't have the breaks or didn't have the opportunity for the publicity that the teenagers today do. You know, it's kind of like, remember back in the racing days when Jeff Gordon, there in the early 90s, had all the great equipment. Brand new young rookies don't get all the great equipment. You work your way up.
Yeah.
You 3 or 4 years on the circuit before you even come close to winning a race. And that's why they didn't like Jeff Gordon. Well, that's just continued on to everything else, including obviously the music industry. But, you know, Frank never learned how to read music. It was all by ear. Never learned.
Wow.
And incredible. You know, he's performed with tons of bands, tons of solo stuff, lots of orchestras, and he never, let's just say, sitting there looking at the music that had been written or whatever, he never did it that way. You know what Frank did? I did it my way. By the way,
yes, he did.
And I don't know if you know this. I think I've told you this before. At my funeral, the last thing that will happen at my funeral is the song "I Did It My Way" by Frank Sinatra will be played. Good or bad, I did it my way.
Hey, I like it.
That's you know what, I don't really care if you like it or not. That's what's going to happen. But since you like it, I definitely feel better about what's going to happen at my funeral. But you know what? I really don't care. Another reason I really don't care is I'll be dead.
Moved on to better things.
Believe it or not, Sinatra's first break in 1935 came from his mother, who persuaded a local singing group called the Three Flashes. Three Flashes to let him join.
Okay.
And if he would join, he'd set up the equipment, he'd carry the equipment, he'd be responsible for it. Just so basically, they let him come in as the stagehand who got to set in with the band, and that's how he got going. So Hoboken, New Jersey, where they're all from, they become the Hoboken Four. So they went from the three Flashes to the Hoboken Four. That group was making $12.50 a month. That's what they were making on the average. $12.50 a month.
You got to start somewhere.
1935. Might have been a decent amount.
It might not have been about the money.
Hey, and back then you had to win a contest on a radio station to get the most votes on this radio station for you to be able to go and perform. So that's how Frank Sinatra got on the radio as a soloist in 1939, March of 39. Frank had won a contest with a New Jersey radio station called WAAT. What? Yep. What?
Okay.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What you say?
His first song was Our Love. He auditioned after winning the contest. He started to audition. Won the competition, audition, recorded Our Love, his first solo recording. Now, Harry James. Most people don't know who Harry James is, and frankly, I didn't either until I did my research. Obviously identified Frank, and you know, he's young and dumb. He don't know what he's doing, but obviously Harry James did. Harry James signed him, Jason, to a 2-year contract and paid Frank $75 a week. And Frank had to be at his beck and call. This guy's probably making $500 a week and giving Frank $75 a week. I mean, they're doing stuff with Paramount. This isn't small potatoes.
It's big time.
Yeah. And with that, Tommy Dorsey. A lot of people know Tommy Dorsey. Big deal. Tommy Dorsey then took Frank to another level. They recorded 40 songs. Polka Dot and Moonbeams. You ever heard of that?
Can't say I have.
Well, that's pretty probably because you weren't around listening in the late April of the 1940s, were you?
I was not.
Okay,
no.
Well, obviously, Tommy Dorsey saw something here that was going to take Frank to the new level. Frank obviously wanted to be a soloist. He's tired of sharing with everybody, but you know, his success and popularity grew. Sinatra tried to push Dorsey to a Latin. Now I'm going somewhere with this because we're leading right into the mobsters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you just thought I was down here rambling, I'm not. I'm actually going somewhere with this.
I didn't know which branch we was on.
Yeah, that's right. Sinatra pushed Dorsey to allow him to record solo songs. And Dorsey would not allow for that because I've got you under contract. So Night and Day, the night we called it a day, the song is you, all that was recorded in Bluebird recording sessions set up by Tommy Dorsey. All right. So after these 1942 recordings, Sinatra believed he needed that solo opportunity. And he wanted to go compete. He thought he was ready to compete with the legendary Bing Crosby. You probably know that name.
I do know that name.
Bing. But obviously Sinatra was hampered by this contract, which gave Dorsey 43% of Sinatra's lifetime earnings. He signed a contract. I'm going to give you 43 pennies on every dollar I make till the day I die.
Wow.
Yeah. Once again, you're looking for an opportunity.
Yeah.
You find desperate people do desperate things. He's looking for an opportunity. He got one and basically gave up the farm. All right. Now, obviously, they went into a legal battle, and it was eventually settled, Jason, in 1942. Now, let's talk about how I got your ink on the paper. You owe me 43% for the rest of your life. I'm not letting you out of that. Except when they make you an offer you can't refuse. Yes.
I see where you're going.
Yes, sir. So Sinatra's godfather was actually a mobster. Willie Moretti. Now you got to go on back. I mean, that's in the 40s. Frank Costello, those kind of guys. Lucky Luciano. He would have ran and been a part of during that era. Okay. But he held Dorsey at gunpoint to let Sinatra out of his contract for a few $1,000s. So when you have a gun in your face, you may reconsider.
Kind of persuasive.
Yep. And this right here, this particular story is exactly what happened in Godfather. Okay. So Marlon Brando, the Godfather, has another one of those young kids that he's trying to help who went to Hollywood, wasn't getting a part that he wanted, and they made that guy an offer. That's where the horse head in the bed comes from.
That's right.
Yeah. So either your signature or your brains are going to be on the paper. You get to make the decision. And that particular part of Godfather is after this right here of getting Sinatra out of that same type of contract. I owe you 43% of my money for the rest of my life, and he gets out for a couple $1,000s. Now, this is where, once again, the mobsters helped him there. So now he's indebted. He feels obligated. I don't want to say indebted, but I mean that's where his alleged organized crime links and the Calneva Lodge that they all own together. And, Sinatra was considered just a tough working class Italian American that people majorly embraced. I mean, they looked at him as just like a regular he didn't grow up in Beverly Hills. He didn't grow up in Hollywood. He was not groomed to be what he is. He went out and did it on his own. So you may not probably also know, and I've done a lot of study on the 5 families. Another episode we got to have. We need to have Mobster Month, and we can study the 5 families. We'll call it the 6 families because we'll put the Corleones in there too.
All right.
Corleones, excuse me. We're going to get Michael in there for sure. Are you familiar with the Mafia Havana Conference in the 1946 area?
Is this when they met up in Havana?
When all of the heads went to Havana.
Yep. I do recall this.
The only people in the room was the heads of the families. It wasn't the 5 families. They were all there.
Yeah.
But it was the head of the Dallas Mafia, the New Orleans Mafia, the Chicago Mafia, and then the West Coast stuff, Vegas. They were all there. The only ones in the rooms were the heads and Frank Sinatra.
That's right.
How about that? And by the way, in Godfather 2, that they have the Havana meeting too.
Yes.
The scene where they're out there and they're cutting the cake on the deck. The guy who put it all together. This is where all that comes from. So, you think about, man, this Godfather deal was a great movie. All they did was copycat other stuff and put it into a 3-hour movie, and here we are, right? So, yes, and then you think about, who did Sinatra go with to that particular Havana meetings? Lucky Luciano. Sinatra's major tie was to Sam Giancana. Sam Giancana, obviously, major mobster, head of one of the 5 families, on and on and on, which, to me, in return, is how JFK was assassinated. The mobsters, the unions, all helped JFK get elected. He carried all those votes up north where you have all your unions and your Teamsters. They were persuaded by the mobsters. These Teamsters hung out in their clubs. You vote for him, you vote for him, you vote for him. No matter what he stands for, but you voted for him. Okay, so we get you elected. And remember, I've told you about the Peter Lawford. Peter Lawford was married to JFK's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Lawford was a buddy and in the Rat Pack with Frank Sinatra. So that's where that connection came from. Sinatra tells his buddies in the mobs, we got to get this guy elected. We get him elected, and the first thing he does is make his brother, Bobby Kennedy, Attorney General, and the first thing they do is start going and fighting organized crime and taking them down. You take me down, you're going down. And I firmly believe that. I don't know what part Lee Harvey Oswald played. He gets all the credit for this stuff, but he did not act alone.
Just the instrument.
And, unfortunately, Dallas mobster Jack Ruby shot him before we could find out. And I don't know that Lee Harvey would have ever given up his information, but nevertheless, that's how it works.
Yeah.
The FBI had the FBI had 2,400 plus pages on Sinatra. He was a natural target with the mafia ties. And obviously his friendship with JFK, who, by the way, as the election arose and got closer, JFK separated himself from Frank Sinatra. Another one of those scenes where Sinatra was going out to stay in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, with JFK was going out to stay with Sinatra. Sinatra built him a little wing on his house just for the president's arrival, and he cancels at the last minute.
Oh,
you know about that?
No, I did not.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, cancels at the last minute. So, hey, Sinatra's last words: "I'm losing." That's what he said on his deathbed in Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Beverly Hills. If you look, I'll make you aware of this, viewing and listening audience. Anytime a movie star dies, or most of the time they die, it happens at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, which is the main hospital in the Beverly Hills, Hollywood area. A lot of folks have went on to bigger and better things at Cedars-Sinai. And of course, Frank's was all about heart attack, etc. Fourth wife, Barbara, they'd been married over 20 years. Now, another big name, Nancy Sinatra, Frank Jr. You knew Frank Jr. existed.
Yep.
And then Nancy and then Tina. That was his children. They were not at his bedside. And they believed that Barbara had deliberately not allowed them to come and see Dad on his death days. By the way, the night of his death, the Empire State Building was turned blue, the lights shining, in honor and memory of Blue Eyes, the chairman of the board.
Incredible.
I know it is, and as the viewing and listening audience can tell, and especially you, I could talk about Frank Sinatra for hours, days,
yeah,
and never tell the same story twice. And I've told the same story twice many, many, many times. Once again, contact me. info@mx3.vip. Find all of our content at mx3.vip. And of course, YouTube. youtube.com/mx3 podcast. Please give us your comments. Comments, very, very, very important. We will get to nothing but 1960s Rat Pack eventually. We will get to nothing but the 5 families in New York City eventually. Gosh, Jason, we got another 7 years worth of shows without even doing any of this Billie Eilish, Frank Sinatra, Ice, Super Bowl. Golly. It's almost, we may have to go to 3 episodes a week.
Just gotta start throwing them out.
You know, there's some people that like to listen to me that say you ought to be giving out an episode every day.
Let's do it.
I said, Jason, don't want to work that hard. For everyone who's been a part of this episode of Money, Motivation, and Mike, continue to live your life the right way.